Hey, I'm Casey Okupi with Free Speech Northwest. Today, I'm going to do an I Judge You about Don Lemon's personal vendetta against Kanye. It's stupid, childish, weird. It's like he wishes he was rich and famous in that way or something. I don't know. I don't know what it's all about, but it's pretty blatantly obvious. So I'm gonna judge him on it right now. Let's go ahead and roll, please.
Kanye West sparking a lot of outrage tonight with his unhinged comments about slavery. I want to bring in now Republican strategist Michael Singleton, CNN political commentator Mark Lamont Hill, and writer and journalist Kieran Mayo. He made these stunning comments about slavery.
You hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years, that sounds like a choice. Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? You know, like, it's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race. That we're the human race.
Kieran, slavery for 400 years is a choice. What's your reaction?
It's, again, unfortunate. You know, we're all worried about Kanye, but at this point, we're all also angry and offended and hurt. And he's also factually incorrect, right?
Can we pause it for a minute? So she's offended and she's worried. She's sad and worried about Kanye. So basically they're mocking him, saying he has mental illness. He is talking about 400 years as a choice or whatever. What he's kind of talking about is like the numbers when slavery, well, let's say, for example, the Holocaust or something. You know, you have these camps and there's hundreds and hundreds of Jewish people at one of these concentration camps or something, and then for every, I don't know, 10 or 20 of them, then there's like one guard, and he's saying that there must have been some form of mental manipulation, like murder, for example, but a mental manipulation that causes people not to rebel up and against, or if they do rebel and try to fight against, you know, the first person to speak out or whatever is probably killed, and then that obviously mentally puts everyone else in a state of let's not even try this. And when in fact, the fact is, numerically, like the numbers, there were, they'd have the capacity to potentially overthrow, is what I'm assuming, you know. That's what I'm assuming Kanye's talking about. He elaborates in this. But right off the bat, she's kind of condescending. I mean, when it comes to the case of Kanye, we know that he's checked into a mental health facility or something because he was stressed out or whatever was upsetting him. So now that gives everyone this green light to be instantly condescending right off the bat. Like, he couldn't actually have these thoughts. He's not intelligent enough. He's crazy. He can't have his own thoughts. And so she's condescending down to him. Let's keep going, please.
Slave rebellions, armed slave rebellions, have happened in every slaveholding state in this country. We have resisted slavery for as long as we've been here. His association with slavery is so just uninformed. And I think the problem with Kanye today is that he's taken for granted that his lack of information, it can pass for opinion in a public sphere.
Okay, can we pause it? So she's talking about his lack of information. I'm not sure how much data she has on how much research Kanye's actually done. He's probably done some research. He's probably not just saying things, and she's saying his lack of information. She's assuming everything. She's assuming he has a lack of information. I don't think he does. He speaks very passionately about these issues. I think he's done some research. He's taken that data. He's formulated his own thoughts. And when his thoughts go against her narrative and CNN and them, those people, when his thoughts go against their narrative, they're like, That's not what we say. He must not have any information, and he's not informed. She doesn't know if he is or not. So she doesn't. All right, let's continue.
For his young black fans and followers, I'm worried for them because I'm not sure that they can make the distinction between where he's going and the truth.
Well, and that's why we're covering it so much, because in my estimation, this is dangerous. And again, as I've said all along, and you said Kanye can say whatever he wants. He can believe whatever he wants, but he should understand the power of his platform. He has to be responsible, as Van said today, and he has to know his facts before he thinks, Mark, that this is a new conversation.
Right.
That he's having, because he just discovered it.
He just discovered some information, and I want him to discover information. I also want him to discover books.
Yes.
And I want him to read
Okay,
those
can we
books
pause it for a
and
minute?
read that.
He didn't just discover information. He didn't just discover that there were slaves. They're being condescending, and I'm calling them out. So, you people are condescending, and you should be ashamed of yourself for being so condescending. He's not that stupid. He doesn't think slavery is a new concept, and he's just voicing it. That's dumb. Let's continue, please.
Information before he offers a public opinion. But in the Kanye West universe, at least right now, whatever he thinks is the most important thing, facts be damned. And that's something that's super dangerous. In many ways, he is like Trump. I mean, I think he's wrestling with some stuff. But
I was just going to say, who's that?
I see why he likes Donald Trump. And that's
He says why he likes it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rich, successful white man who does whatever he wants under any circumstances. He doesn't need facts. He doesn't need anything else.
He doesn't read.
And he just says what he thinks, and he doesn't read. I mean, I see why he likes Donald Trump.
But the thing is that he...
Can we pause this for a minute? Don Lemon. He's so exhausted at this concept. So Kanye's big message is free thought, think for yourself, do your own research, form your own opinions. Don't just latch on to what everyone else's opinions are. And they're talking about why he loves Donald Trump. Probably because Donald Trump goes against the grain, goes against the narrative. That's a representation in itself of free thought. But these condescending people, they have not invited Kanye on an episode, probably to try to tear him apart, but they're not inviting him on, they're not talking to him. I'll bet he would go on and he would face these people who are so mean and rude and condescending and just, it's ridiculous. But yeah, they're afraid that he'll say things, they won't be able to counter him. They're afraid of him. So they're afraid of Kanye. Please continue.
He talks about he doesn't even know his history of Donald Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So he just hasn't read about Donald Trump as well, because then maybe he would not be saying these things.
But he also, let's not extract
Can we pause
Kanye
this for
from
a minute?
hip-hop and like the origin.
Please. Donald Trump has actually won awards for helping the African American communities and things. So they're talking about the history of Donald Trump. They keep saying, he doesn't know. He doesn't read. They're saying all these things about Kanye. They don't know. They're trying to manipulate you. That's what they're trying to do. They're using their voice to say, you need to think this about Kanye. You do. You need to think it. You need to think Kanye's crazy because he's been to one of these facilities. So let's keep bringing up that he's nuts. Couldn't it be he was kind of stressed, so he sought some help? I don't know. But they keep saying he hasn't read anything. They're telling you that. They're telling you that Kanye didn't read anything. You haven't asked Kanye. They haven't asked Kanye. They're being condescending, and they're trying to control you. They're trying to control your brain with their words. Just an FYI. So let's please continue.
Around his generation in hip-hop, he was up against half of an MC nation that was naming themselves after white men, right, who were supposed to be self-made, who were supposed to be a la Trump in this very kind of flashy, screw you, I do me kind of ilk. And so there is an attraction to, I think, what he associates with braggadocio and bravery and radical free thought. However, you're wearing a MAGA hat as though that's not sheepish.
Right, we ain't do that, though. We ain't do that part. We still say F the police. we still
Absolutely.
said my president is black.
Absolutely. And
You
so
know,
did
from
he. And
pe-
so did he.
And that's why.
And so did he.
And that's what I'm worried
So,
about.
Shermichael, Kanye tweeted just a few hours ago. He tried to clarify this, right? So I'm going to put these words up. He said, "To make myself clear, of course I know that slaves did not get shackled and put on a boat by free will. My point is for us to have stayed in that position, even though the numbers were on our side, means that we were mentally enslaved. The reason why I brought up the 400 years point is because we can't be mentally imprisoned for another 400 years. We need free thought now. Even the statement was an example of free thought. It was just an idea." So he's backtracking, but does that make sense?
Can we pause
No,
this?
it doesn't, Don. I mean, look, I think even a cursor.
That makes sense. He is not backtracking, he's elaborating. So they're telling you he's backtracking. He's not backtracking. He's elaborating because everyone got all super offended when he's literally saying that for us to have been, like, not me, but for him to, you know, African Americans to have been slaves for 400 years, there was mental manipulation. And it was murder. It was pain, torture, things like that. That's a huge mental manipulation. During the times of slavery and the Holocaust and all those things, as I mentioned before, previously, as soon as you were somebody who would make waves, try to talk about an uprising, try to rebel against, you were instantly destroyed. You know, you were killed or tortured or publicly, and that was done publicly so that you'd have that mental enslavement. You know, let's say that there were at some time people shackled together, and then when one of them would step out of line, they were put back in line. So these people, Kanye is speaking up. He's saying be a free thinker. He's stepping out of line. What are they doing? They're trying to destroy him. They're trying to put him back in line. These people. So let's keep going, please.
Understanding of slavery and the history of slave people or enslavement would have better positioned him to make a more accurate and historically factual statement. He did not. The premise of his statement, or of his tweets rather, that he is a free thinker is somewhat absurd to me. And intellectually speaking, I would advise Kanye to pick up a book written by Immanuel Kant back in the 1700s, The Critique of Pure Reason. Perhaps that would better prepare him with the necessary tools to be able to truly be a free thinker, because what he said is not a free thinker. There's nothing genius about it. It's blatant ignorance, and it's embarrassing. And for all the young people who have invested in him, who go out and buy his sneakers, who buy his albums, what do you say to those individuals? It's because of them he is where he is at currently. Yeah. He owes those folks an explanation.
Can we pause this for a minute? Please. So I keep pausing it. They're basically saying, they're saying he's stupid, and then they're saying that he's doing bad things to you. Like, let's say you buy Kanye CDs. He's doing bad things to you is what they're saying. And they're saying he's not a free thinker. Why is he not a free thinker? Why? Because he doesn't agree and say exactly what we say. How ironic is that? That's the epitome of trying to not allow people to think freely. They're saying he's not a free thinker because he's not saying exactly what we're saying. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's crazy. So let's keep going, please.
Yes. So listen, and we have you here. You're a black conservative. Again, this is not about politics, although people are trying to frame it that way.
Well, Don, it's not. It's like the difference. Yes, I am a black conservative, but I can tell you that the reason why I'm a conservative, right? I can explain the epistemological definition of conservatism versus liberalism. Right. I have spent time reading books by Edmund Burke and John Locke and Michael Oakeshott and Robert Nozick, who all have their own issues, as Mark Lamont Hill can factually state. But with that stated, my belief system is grounded upon an intellectual exploration of something. Kanye's is not. There's a distinct difference between the two.
Sorry, this will be... Oh, man. They're saying that he hasn't read anything, he doesn't know anything. How do they know? They won't have him on the show. So this is enough of this video. Like... Kanye, the worst thing that Kanye West is doing is going, you be a free thinker. You trust you. trust your research and form your opinions. They don't have him on their show. Like, see, there's 4 people there. Which one's Kanye? None of them. No, he's not on the show. They're not talking to him. They're not saying, hey, what have you read to formulate this view? They just say that he's wrong. They say he's stupid. And they say he's crazy because he's not saying exactly what they're saying. They're saying, free thought. You're not saying what we're saying. You're crazy. I don't know. I have to agree with Kanye on this. And I judge them for being mean and stupid. And also just the irony of really just telling Kanye how horrible and messed up and wrong he is when he's saying to depend on your own mind and have your own thoughts. And they're saying he's wrong and crazy. And I don't know. I took Kanye's logic, his explanation, and I personally, I can see his point. All right, we listen to these guests, these panelists. They're talking about, this is what I read. I have a degree. This is the things that I'm reading that make me more intelligent than you. So you need to listen to me. Kanye didn't read these books. That's what makes him stupid. Maybe he did read them. Maybe he didn't. But I don't know. Maybe they're controlled by the same sort of media agenda. I mean, these guys are on television. They're talking to you. Maybe everyone, there's bias, okay? So, yeah, it all depends on what you watch. Watch everything, and you don't have to necessarily trust these people. I don't trust them. I don't agree with them. And I don't think Kanye's wrong. I agree with him. I think he's an intelligent guy. I don't know, he might be a little frazzled sometimes, a little passionate. You know, they'll say he's crazy, he's nuts, that it's like gibberish or something. But you know what I mean? If you go and give it another word, it's passion. He's intense. So, I don't know. We can call it whatever and try to manipulate anyone's brain, I guess. Listen to him and think about what he says and figure out what you feel. I think that's important. Free thought. Yeah, I like it.